all yours. Take it away.
Thanks. What I did is I put together a PowerPoint presentation just to give you kind of an idea of what the Center for Sales strategy is and how we put it all together, and we use this 3R selling to help our clients generate revenue. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because we really want to get to the nitty-gritty of how do you make money with streaming. But it's important that we look at this, because what we don't believe and what I don't think you should do is just go out and pitch streaming. I do think that you need to understand your customers' needs, their challenges, their marketing opportunities, and realize what streaming is and how they can take advantage of it. So at the Center for Sales Strategy, we say turning talent into performance is what we do. We serve clients in radio and TV and cable and publishing, and like Michael said, some pureplay.coms. These are some of our clients that we work with. And you know, in general, the Center for Sales Strategy has three big pillars. One is high-performance sales management. The other is high-performance selling skills, and the other is business development opportunities. So if you go and you think about that as kind of the foundation, it then becomes pretty easy to see how all of this plays together. You know, we think it starts with salespeople, and sales management, and you got to have all three working together if you're going to have success.
Hey, Matt, if I can interrupt you for just 1 second, can you speak just a little more loudly? Some people are having trouble hearing you.
Okay, 1 second. How's this? Is this better?
Much.
Okay, good. So let me just show you a few of these slides, because I really want you to see what 3R selling is, and just give everyone a little bit of the background of what 3R selling is. So it's customer-focused, needs-based selling system that helps you deliver on the 3Rs. And the 3Rs are results, renewals, and referrals. And let's face it, that's what we're in the business of doing. We got to get our customers results, and by getting them results and delivering an ROI, we're going to increase our ability to get renewals, and hopefully we'll ask for some referrals along the way. So let me give you you know, we're trying to change your conversation, and you know, I always think about webinars is, okay, if I leave a webinar just knowing one thing that I didn't know before, well, then it was a good use of my time. In general, we're trying to change the conversation. We wanted to get you away from why to buy my product and why it's superior to all the other choices you have, to how to use my product and my capabilities to produce a profitable return, which speaks directly to streaming. It's not why to buy my stream, it's how to use my stream and all my capabilities, for that matter, to deliver results. We're changing it from, you know, pitching to creating, from product to service, from feature benefits to prospects' needs. We're just changing this conversation. This is kind of a graphic example of the get renewal after renewal and produce sustainable business. That just makes sense. If you're getting a client good results, they're going to renew, and you're going to get referrals from them. Honestly, it's an area in media sales that we could all get a little bit better on, is getting referrals. This is what the online program looks like. The 3R selling training is available to anybody that would like to use it. You go on the website and you go through the online learning system. The 6-step approach is find, approach, decide, define, solve, present, and fulfill. And obviously, at some point, we think streaming is a big part of it. I'm putting up here just what's in the course so you can see. But one of the things that is paramount to our training, to our way of selling, is understanding the client's needs. And we created an hourglass CNA type method that allows a salesperson to get a really good client needs analysis done in 45 minutes or so, rather than having it take 2 or 3 or 4 meetings to accomplish it. We give you a system that will make it work. The other thing about our 3R selling is that it pays for itself. We don't know of another training program out there that actually pays for itself. And whether you're a manager or a seller, when you go through the 3R selling online training, you actually work with real accounts that you've been focusing on. And the goal is that you're going to sell that account during the training. So it's not hypothetical, it's not theory, it's actual practice. And what I'm showing you here is some examples of the dollars that have been generated from people before us. And what we see that they do a really good job of selling all of their assets and all of their capabilities, and not just being product pitchers. And I'll say it again and again and again, I do not think that you should run out and just pitch your stream to everybody. I do think that you should understand what your streaming is capable of doing, understand what the best way to go to market with it is, and find clients that would benefit from participating in the program that you're bringing. I think that's really important. I didn't want to spend, again, I just wanted to give you a quick 10-minute overview, but I think right now we can go to kind of Q&A, Michael, and let's do that. I think you should have the white screen up, right?
Okay, so yeah, we have, there we go. So you should be seeing my screen now. And Matt, we're still getting a couple people that are saying they're having a hard time hearing you. So if you could speak up just a little bit more, that would be great.
I think my wire was twisted too on my headset, so maybe that will help make it a little better.
Untangle it. All right, here we go.
That's right. Modern technology.
Yeah, isn't it great? So I met Matt a few weeks ago at a convention that we were both at, and we got to talking about streaming and about how you make money streaming your radio station. And there's been a lot of talk about whether it's profitable, whether it's taking money out of your broadcast side and putting it on your terrestrial side, the old trading digital dollar or broadcast dollars for digital dimes. And Matt and I both think that that's not really the way it works. You can actually make a lot of money streaming. So let's get right into this. Matt, before you joined the Center for Sales Strategy, you were in Dallas at Susquehanna, and tell us what you did there.
Well, I did over my 15 years at Susquehanna, I did almost everything. I was a seller, I was a retail sales manager, I was general sales manager from like 2000 or 1999 through 2006. I was our group director of sales development for the entire company, working with all of our markets and sharing best practices. We were a company that was family owned, privately held. We were in 8 markets with 23 stations of all sizes and shapes, from York, Pennsylvania, and Kansas City, and Cincinnati, and Indianapolis, to the large markets like San Francisco, and Dallas, and Houston, and Atlanta. But my last 6 years at the company, I led our new media initiative as well as a group director of sales development.
All right, so you were one of the early players in the online sales arena, and you had a lot of success at Susquehanna, but I presume that it didn't start out all successful. So what prompted you to take those first steps into the new media area?
Yeah, so, it's like, what's that saying that necessity is the mother of invention? That's really how our initiative got started. I think of myself as a pretty leading edge, cutting edge type guy. I like all the gadgets and all the toys, and we had no choice when it came to delivering revenue. We were one of with regard to our streaming. We were early into the streaming game. Mark Cuban had a company called AudioNet, and he had come to our radio stations, and we started streaming really, really early. And so a lot of years went by, and my boss was saying to me, we need to generate revenue from this. This is ridiculous. It doesn't make sense that we have this if we're not going to generate revenue. And by the way, this is a great opportunity. And so we had no choice but to do it. And I will tell you that we failed at it for years. I mean, we struggled. We tried every single thing, $1 a holler. We gave it away, for 10% more, we'll match your schedule on our stream. I mean, we did everything. And in our best year, we did $40,000 in revenue. And that's for 4 radio stations in Dallas, Texas. Combined, we did $40,000. It was tough.
So after you tried all the stuff that didn't work, how'd you come up with the winning strategy? What were the steps you took to get from 40,000 to almost $1 million?
Yeah, so, you know, what we did is we got a few people in a room, and we just, you know, we kind of just said, what do we have to do different? Why aren't we selling this? How does it work? Why is this a failure? And what if we did? What would we have to do to generate $1 million? And I will tell you, Michael, when we threw that number up on the board, we all had a good laugh. I mean, $1 million when you were.
We'll never get there, he said.
Yeah, we'll never get there. But you know, someone in the room, I don't remember who, but someone in the room said, well, you know, one thing we could do is charge for it, charge more. And we all kind of laughed because that seems so simple. But then we decided, you know, when you're selling stuff for $1, it doesn't have any value to anybody. When you're giving it away, it doesn't have any value to anybody. So we adopted this idea of what if we charged $4,000 for it? And then it was amazing. We just said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to stop trying to sell this thing a million different ways. We're going to have 25 sponsors. Every sponsor is going to get 1/25th of our inventory. Every sponsor is going to pay $4,000. We said, people would say, well, how many impressions am I going to get? And we figure out, okay, well, this is about how many impressions you're going to get. People would, well, how many commercials is that? We said, well, you know, we're running 12 units an hour, so it's going to be approximately every other hour that you're going to hear, you know, your spot's going to run. And we just made it really simple. And I will tell you that when we charged $4,000, all of a sudden, owners of car dealerships wanted to meet with us. Principals at ad agencies wanted to meet with us because they couldn't believe that we were actually going to charge $4,000. Everyone else was just giving it away or charging $1. What makes yours worth $4,000? And that was gold, because we'd walk in and we'd just look right at them and say, because we're going to get your results. Because we understand that it's a share of voice mentality that we're taking. You're on a regular radio station. There's anywhere from 100 to 130, 140 advertisers in a given month. But on our stream, there's only 25 maximum advertisers. 25 maximum advertisers. That's it. And then we changed the conversation. We changed the conversation and said, you know what? We're going to have to focus on making sure that you have 3 to 5 different pieces of creative that you're running on our stream. Because if you don't, our listeners are going to complain about hearing your commercials so many times. Oh, imagine now the conversation that we're having is about, well, how am I going to come up with 3 different pieces of creative? Can you help me with that? And now we're in that discussion instead of this discussion that we used to have, which was, can you please buy my streaming because my sales manager is making me sell it. And all of a sudden, all it took was for the, you know, and it took, you know, one person going out, make a sale, another person, then all of a sudden it was like, it started to steamroll, and we got up, we were doing $80,000, $90,000 a month in streaming revenue, and it was fantastic.
So when we were talking in Palm Springs, you mentioned that one of the keys to getting the whole thing kicked off was that you really got your sales team excited and committed. How did you do that? And, you know, was that really a key factor in the overall success?
I think it was. I think it was a huge factor in the overall success. For years and years and years, everyone at our radio station had the ability to sell streaming, but nobody had the responsibility of selling streaming. Nobody was accountable for selling streaming. It was just something that they could go out and sell. And so what we did is we created a volunteer SWAT team, essentially. We made an announcement to everybody on staff, said, hey, if you'd like to be able to sell the stream, you need to attend a meeting. Whatever day, Thursday at 4 o'clock, we're going to do a meeting. We're going to tell you how we're going to do it, because our goal is to do $1 million. And if you want not just the ability to sell the stream, but you want the responsibility of selling the stream, show up at that meeting. If you don't show up, you're not going to have to sell it. Good for you. You no longer have that responsibility. And we had about 8 or 9 people show up, and those people were into it, and we gave them the ability to sell it to any client that they wanted to sell to. And, we monitored it, and there wasn't a lot of, we just said, we expect that you're going to go out and present it, and there's 8 of us here, or 9 of us here. If everyone can sell 2, that would get us to 18. And if we get to 18, we think the ball will be rolling enough that we're gonna hit our 25. By the way, we never hit 25. We were consistently in the 22 range. We tried to sell everything on an annual basis, but we weren't always successful selling everything on an annual basis, but we tried. So yeah, getting them involved was a big deal. Getting them excited about it, and then sure enough, what happened after about 3 months, somebody came in with an order, and they weren't on the streaming team. And I said, okay, great. Who would you like me to give this to on the stream team? And she looked at me and she goes, you got to be kidding. And she goes, I'm bringing you an order. I said, yeah, and we're going to give it to somebody on the stream team. And that was a tense moment because, again, we wanted people that not only had the ability to sell it, but wanted the responsibility for selling it. So we ended up making another announcement and saying, okay, we're going to give everyone one more chance. If you want the responsibility and you want to join the team, join the team. And a few more people did join. And it was very successful. And our clients got results.
So you got your sales team pumped up. They hit the streets. How did you present the packages? How did you go to a local client and go, okay, it's $4,000 to be a part of our online radio station?
Yeah, and that was really a significant number because honestly, I mean, I think before that we charged like $50. So going from $50 or 0 to 4,000 was a lot. One of the things I learned when I did my due diligence on why we weren't selling very much of it, I learned 2 things. One is that our salespeople didn't like to sell it because it was only $50, and the commission on $50 isn't all that much. And you know what? Back then, the technology that wasn't as good as the technology is today. There was a real chance that we might even screw up what we sold. And so now you got to deal with a client that's upset because you didn't deliver what you said you were going to deliver, and it was only $50. So it didn't get anyone's attention. So raising the price was significant for the salespeople. They could make good money if they sold $4,000. It also gave us credibility inside of the clients that we serve because now all of a sudden they're like, well, wow, you guys must be doing something. And so it actually became a little bit easier to get appointments with people because they wanted to see what are those guys doing that they can charge $4,000. And it was really simple, and you kind of started to write up a little bit of the stuff on the whiteboard, which I appreciate, but it was 25 packages. That's it. It was 25 positions. It wasn't 25 packages. There's 25 positions. That's all we had available. 25 slots. 25 slots. That's all you're going to get. And again, we'd share with them. On our radio signal, we're running 125, 150 commercials or advertisers a month. On our stream, you're 1 of 25. The second thing is, let's have a conversation about commercial copy. You're going to reach this many people over this amount of time, a lot of times. What is it that you want to message? What is it that you want to say? And then we, of course, were able to speak both languages and say, okay, but if you wanted to figure out what it would be per spot, well, if you ran 12 commercials a day times 7 days a week times 30 days in a month, or whatever, this is how many spots it would be. So your average spot cost is this. And then you had some sophisticated folks that were like, well, what would be my cost per 1,000? And so we'd figure out how many impressions you were going to get and divide that and go, okay, well, this would be what the cost per 1,000. But that's not how we sold it. The way we sold it was we have 25 positions available. Each position comes at a price of $4,000 a month. Each position, because it is only 25, requires 3 to 5 different pieces of copy. And then we trained our salespeople to know what the cost per 1,000 would be and what the cost per spot would be, just so that they could answer those questions.
Let me ask you, Matt, when you say $4,000, is that $4,000 per station, or was that across the entire,
That was per month for all 4 stations.
Okay, so it was $1,000 a month for each station.
$1,000 per station, but you could not split them.
Right, you had to buy all 4.
Right, and if we had lots of times, people would say, well, I only want to buy this one. And we'd say, great, it's $4,000. Well, what if I only want to buy this one? That's fine. It's $4,000.
Okay.
And you know, the only thing that we did waver on is that we did really want annuals, but we didn't always get annuals.
You mentioned also when we were talking about how you keyed it up with a couple of key clients to start the thing off and get some initial credibility. I think that's a very cool idea. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I went to 3 advertisers that I would consider friends. I knew them a long time. They trusted us. We trusted them. And I went to them and I said, we're going to do a 90-day. We'd like you to participate in a 90-day program with us. I'm going to give you streaming for absolute free for 90 days. Okay, and that always they like that. And I said, but here's the deal. We're going to work together on your creative so that we get you results. And if it's not working, we're not going to get frustrated and say it doesn't work. We're going to redo the creative and we're going to come up with a different message. We're going to do everything that we can to make it work. And if it does work, at the end of 90 days, you're going to become a $4,000 a month advertiser, and you're going to let me use you as a success story. And if it doesn't work, and we've done everything that we can to try to make it work, then we'll go our separate ways. And we'll know that we gave it a shot, and it just didn't work, and that's okay too. For 2 of the 3 advertisers, it worked fantastic, and for one of them, it did not work, and we tried. And at the end of the day, at the end of 90 days, we could all look at each other and say, you know what, for your business, it really didn't work. No big deal. We moved on. But that way, it gave us as sellers and managers, it gave us confidence. It gave us confidence that this thing actually worked. It was capable of producing results. We had 2 advertisers that it was working for. But it also gave us, you know, and looking at this, the fact that it didn't work for one of them, that was okay too, because, you know, we learned. We learned maybe this isn't a good category for us right now. And so it was excellent. It was a great case study for us.
Great. So how long did it take you to put the whole thing together and start to see some real revenue? I mean, did it happen like right away, or did it take you 3 or 4 months?
Yeah. So, you know, there's the easiest time to make a significant change is when things are really, really bad and you don't have a choice. And so when we were, you know, doing $40,000 annually in streaming, which really equates to about $2,000 to $3,000 a month over 4 stations, it was really bad. So it was pretty easy to clear out the logs and just say, okay, we're starting from scratch on this streaming thing. Let's just go. So it took a couple of months. I mean, it's not like we all hit the streets, because, again, what we didn't do is put a package together and go and pitch it to every single client that we had and try to sell it. That was not our go-to-market strategy. We did not think people should just buy our stream separately. We thought it should be part of an on-air campaign or a bigger marketing solution. We knew the parameters was you're going to be 1 of 25, it's going to be $4,000 a month, we need to get this copy. Those were the parameters, and you could build that into any proposal that you were doing. And so, yeah, it took a few months to get it going. It took a few months, but, you know, I think in our second month we had like eight folks on there. So in our second month we were doing like $30,000, and I remember we were laughing and celebrating at the same time that we did almost in 1 month what we used to do in a year. But we didn't get to $80,000 a month or $100,000 a month in a couple of months. That took some time. Sure.
One of the questions we've already gotten is can you tell us some of the customer categories that work better than others? You know, like car dealers are better than healthcare or something?
Yeah, I will share with you what we noticed, but again, the story that I'm telling of us doing this was from 2005 to 2006. So it was pre-recession. It was also, if you just want to think about it for a second, it was also pre-iPhone and Android.
Right.
As those didn't come out till 1997 or 2000, right? 2007, and so this was 2005 and 2006 when all this happened. Car dealers worked fantastic. Car dealers work absolutely fantastic. The other thing that worked really well, but again, it was 2005 and 2006, was the mortgage category. But I think the mortgage category worked great on anything you were advertising in 2005 and 2006.
Exactly.
We had a hard time getting results for personal injury lawyers or divorce lawyers or anything like that. That seemed to be a tough one to do. LASIK surgery and that kind of stuff seemed to do really well. Grocery stores seemed to do really well. You got to remember back then the majority of the people that were streaming, because smartphones were not as prevalent, were sitting at their computer during the day. That was or at night, but that was the main thing. So anything that you could, like a grocery store or a restaurant that you could point to, check out our menu, click on and get a coupon, those types of things seem to work very well. But again, I caution anyone to put a lot of merit in that, because it was 2005 and 2006, and the world's a whole lot different right now than it was 6 years ago, 5 years ago.
Sure, I would bet car dealers would still be a great category.
I would too. Well, and you think about it, in 2005 and 2006, not every car dealer had an internet department. In 2011, every car dealer has an internet department. They have someone working leads, that they're getting over. I mean, everyone's putting their inventory up online. Everyone's doing that now. It would seem a lot like it would be an ideal fit.
Okay, so we talked about the overall results you got. You went from $40,000 to almost $1 million in a year. Were you able to continue that success after that first year?
We got sold, and we had a lot of change in leadership. So, and I wasn't there, so I don't know, but I think it still is. And I will tell you that anyone that I've ever talked to and given this conversation to, and they do it the way I'm telling you, has success. Like even right now, like even this year. So I know it works.
Okay. Another question that I know people are thinking about: Dallas is a big market; it's a top 10 market. So, how is this going to play in Peoria, as they like to say?
Yeah, it definitely plays in Peoria. I was very conscientious of what works and what doesn't work in the markets, because my role at Susquehanna, I worked with all of our markets, every single one, and so we did this same sort of style program in Indianapolis. Julie Rayburn, who I think has been a guest on feature on one of these webinars, she'll tell you the exact same thing, what they did in Indianapolis at our stations there. And, it wasn't $4,000 because $4,000 wasn't the right number in that market. But they did the same thing and the same approach, and they sold it out. They did more money than they'd ever done before. And we did the same thing in Atlanta, which is, a different market and size market. And again, you make slight adjustments, but the idea of limiting the number of advertisers, taking on a share of voice mentality, working on focusing on what the commercial message is and how to deal with that creative and how to get results, that's tried and true. That works. I mean, let's face it, there are very few radio stations in America that have a large enough audience to have scale to go out and sell this thing on just an impression model. If you do, that's wonderful. But if you don't, the share of voice philosophy is a strong, strong, strong way of doing two things: generating revenue for your company and getting your advertisers results.
You bring up that the rates are very different between, say, Indianapolis and Dallas and Atlanta. Any suggestions on how you set the rate? You're operating in market 80. How do you determine what the monthly rate is?
Well, what we did in Dallas, and consequently in all the other markets too, is we looked at what is a weekly schedule cost? Like what are people used to spending for a week on your radio station? And, you know, Dallas at that time in that year on our stations, it was like, oh, anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000 a week, maybe $5,000 a week would seem right. And so we just picked 4,000. We wanted a number that would make people sit up and go, what are you guys doing? We also wanted a number that the salespeople would be excited about selling, because no one's excited about selling $50.
Exactly.
I mean, so it was, and so, you know, we said 4,000 because why not? So I would challenge you to pick a number that seems right. It's like, how do you price anything? Supply and demand. You know, I told people, I said, listen, we're going to go at 4,000. If no one buys it, we'll lower the price. I mean, it's just supply and demand.
Kind of trial and error.
Yeah.
Great question here. Do you have any advice for a pure play station that doesn't have a local market to sell to? So if you're a pure play station and you're on more a national type basis, how do you think they should do this?
Well, again, it depends. If you have a large enough impression base, okay, if you're big enough, right? If you're Pandora and you're Spotify and you have a large enough base, you can sell it by impressions. How many you want to make 1 million impressions? Okay, here it is. It's cost per thousand of, you know, $14 a thousand, and you're going to buy 1 million impressions, and this is how you would do it. Not very many of us have that type of scale. So again, I would look at how many impressions do you have per month? How many realistic advertisers could you support? Is it 15? Is it 10? Is it 20? Because we chose 25 because I knew that at 25, every advertiser could get results. I didn't choose 50. I didn't choose 100 because I started worrying that they weren't ever going to get heard enough with enough frequency that it would work. And so if you're a pure play, you got to look at, okay, how with the amount of impressions that I'm making, how many advertisers could, like if you make 100,000 impressions a day, or you make 1 million impressions, let's say, a week, could you sell 10 advertisers and say every one of them is just going to get 1/10 of that, 100,000? Okay, do it that way. Okay. But it's still that same share of voice philosophy. We're taking all we have and we're just divvying it up between all the players.
Great. A question arises about cannibalizing. If a client's got a specific budget, you're going to, you know, your biggest car dealer on the radio station, and he's spending, you know, $10,000 a month on your station. Is he going to take a portion of that $10,000 and move it to digital, or are you trying? Do you go for the additional buy for the online side?
Yes to all the above. So, you know, consumers are, I mean, customers, clients are figuring it out, right? And so whether it comes from a separate budget or the same budget, that's really, ultimately, it's their choice on how they're going to divvy up their money. You can position it, and I would position it as I'm providing you with a marketing solution, so it should come out of your marketing and advertising budget. You know, I get this question a lot, though, but this was money that was going to go to radio, and so now I'm just shifting dollars. Well, okay, if that means that you're not selling as much of your over-the-air inventory, well, then you can go out and resell that. That's a good thing. It works either way. What you don't want to do is give away your stream.
Yeah, that's one of the key things we've determined early on. You know, we've been doing this for quite a while, and you know, one of the first things we always tell a client is whatever you do, don't give it away, don't bonus it, don't make it value added. Yeah. Make it valuable, because as soon as you put a price on it, people think it's worth something.
That's right, and you can, if you quadruple your sales activity when you're selling it for zero, you know how much money you got? Zero. It doesn't matter. You've got to charge for it.
Well, here's an interesting question. Any idea why Clear Channel just stopped running streaming spots in several big markets? Our market has only streaming for 6 hours a day on the Clear Channel streams. I hadn't heard about that.
I have not heard about that. What are they doing during the break? What are they doing during the breaks?
I don't know. I have not heard that they were doing that.
Clear Channel is definitely in the business of selling their stream. That is for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they do a very good job of it. So I haven't heard that. That's interesting to me. That's something I would look into that.
If you don't sell all 25 of your packages, of your positions in your online stream, so you've got some leftover inventory, do you fill those with promos or do you fill them with music? What do you think is good? I mean, we have our ad sales network to help backfill the the unsold inventory with Target Spot and Ad Large, and they can help fill those unsold positions.
Right.
But what other things do you recommend?
We did a few things, or I've seen a few things done that I really like. One, you could run some promos that to support the advertisers that are supporting the stream, which is always a very nice thing to do. The other thing is that we just gave our advertisers more. We just the ones that were in spending $4,000 a month. If we had extra slots, we gave it to them. So they ran more than they were supposed to.
Great. So you just
what we didn't do is give it to someone that we were trying to get a large share of business, and so we'll just bonus you the stream because we have a slot open. We did not do that, and I will tell you, it caused a lot of fights over that. But we did not do that.
The old value-added strategy, again, I think when you start doing that, you denigrate the value of everything else.
Right, and how about all those people that we made spend $4,000 a month because we told them it was a good value and it was going to work, and now all of a sudden we're giving it away to somebody else because they were a better negotiator? No, we set real rules.
Yeah, and you have to stick by them. I think that's critical. Yeah. Is a successful website a prerequisite for a successful streaming sales program? So, do you have to have a lot of traffic to your website, or is that more just an add-on?
That's just an add-on. I mean, what we learned is a lot of people bookmarked our stream and went straight to the stream and didn't even go to our website.
Another question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think a good website is an added benefit. But nowadays, most people's websites are really just marketing pieces anyway.
Right. Can you make revenue from just banner ads? I think that we've kind of answered that, but it's an interesting question.
There are I know of a handful of radio stations that are making a ton of money off banner ads. But I also know some that are failing miserably. If it was me, I would not, for the majority of radio stations out there, I would never sell someone just a banner. I would sell my banners and my display advertising as part of an integrated solution.
Yeah, we see a lot of that I think that's a critical thing. We talk about the seven differences between online advertising and broadcast advertising, and one of the keys is that online advertising is interactive, and if you're not using that synchronized banner, you're missing a big part of the value for your advertiser, because they can click on that banner and go directly to that car dealer's website, or go directly to that McDonald's and see the value and the coupons and stuff.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I should mention now, and we can mention it again later a few times. Recently, someone asked me, about streaming, which prompted me to kind of jot down what I thought were some of the key ingredients or the key selling tips to selling streaming. And I'm making it available for anybody on this call. All you have to do is go to info.csscenter.com. That's info.csscenter.com//streaming. And if you go there, and these are just this was just me, looking at what I've seen being done with streaming over the last really 10 years, all of the best practices I've seen. I just put it all into one place. And so anyone that wants that on this call, it's free, it's no charge, enjoy it, make copies of it, poster it, do whatever you want with it. I just want to help and see you generate, because it just gets me going when I read in the trades how there's no money to be made with streaming.
Just looking through some of the other questions here. We got a little bit of clarification that Clear Channel's playing music in some of those places where they're not pushing the spots as much, and you know, as you said, they are basically really in the business of selling their entire digital platform as a whole organization. I mean, and they're doing a really good job at it. How do we increase, this is good, how do we increase streaming listeners? Are stream-only contests a good way to increase streaming?
Yeah, every radio station is so different, and I was fortunate that I worked for a company that believed in this. We were early in on the game. Our program directors believed in it. It was something that they didn't mind promoting. We did do online contesting. That helped a little bit, sure. It needs attention. You just can't put the thing on autopilot and let it run. It definitely needs attention.
Yeah, we were talking, I was at Conclave last week, and I was on a panel with Fred Jacobs from Jacobs Media, and we were talking about, specifically about mobile, and how when a station first gets a mobile app and they promote it like crazy on the air, they get, thousands and thousands of downloads, and then something, the next new shiny thing comes down the road, they stop talking about the mobile platform and their mobile presence, and the downloads stop. So I think it's critical that radio continue to remind people that they're available online as well.
Exactly. Exactly.
Do you view mobile listening differently than desktop listening? Listeners are paying a lot for their data usage, much more than the advertisers pay for the ads. Do you think that's going to hamper the growth of mobile?
I don't know. I mean, follow the consumer. When in doubt, follow the consumer. Whatever the consumer, whatever the listener wants is what we're all going to do. And you look at the way people interact with their music. With everyone having a phone now that's capable of streaming, and as a consumer, if I want to listen to my hometown radio station, and I don't care where I get it from. When it comes through my speakers, I'm getting it. So I'll use whatever resource I have to get it. I don't know if it's gonna limit at all. I don't think it will.
No, my gut is that it's probably not either. I mean, you see that, you keep seeing the stats that more than half the phones sold in the last quarter were smartphones, and 25% of everybody will have an iPad by the end of the year. Those are pretty astounding numbers, and I think it just really points to the fact that mobile is the new transistor radio.
Right. I mean, I think anything that comes through speakers is radio.
Well said. Well said. The current CPM benchmark for online streaming, we see it all over the wall. Some as high as 15, 16 bucks, some as little as 3 or 4. What do you think? And again, maybe this is a good place to talk about, not selling CPM based spots on a local level, because nobody's really got that kind of tonnage, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, hey, we gotta shoot straight, and a savvy advertiser is going to say, okay, so you want me to spend whatever it is, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month to buy your stream. Tell me, how many impressions do I get? And we can't say that we don't know. Right? We can't say that, oh, I can't tell you that information. I mean, we have to know that information. It's not the way, we don't sell it on a cost per thousand, but I can tell you how many impressions that you're going to make. And then it's just a math equation, right, to figure it out. But what makes it worth the premium is that you're one of 20 advertisers or one of 25 advertisers. You have a huge share of voice. And so because of that model, that's what makes it work. But at some point, somebody could figure out, oh, you made this many impressions and you charged me this much. My cost per thousand is this. So there does have to be, right, you can't rip people off. You got to be credible. And I'm seeing the same numbers as you. When you know, the folks that I see do a share of voice style selling, they typically get higher cost per thousands than that. You know, $25, $30 cost per thousands isn't uncommon because it's not sold that way. And
Exactly.
And it's justified because of the share of voice mentality. It wouldn't be justified if you were just selling it to everybody. And everyone could just, and you'd have 1 million advertisers and there was no share of voice going on. It wouldn't be justified. You'd be wrong to charge that cost per thousand because it wouldn't be fair. It wouldn't be fair. It wouldn't be what the marketplace is getting. But on a share of voice conversation, you are justified in charging more.
Well, and I think you brought it up early on. The key metric there is that you're able to deliver real results for your advertisers, and you know that's at the end of the day, that's, you know, all that the car dealer cares about is that somebody walked in the front door and took a test drive, and you know all the Starbucks cares about is somebody walked in and bought a cup of coffee.
Right. We wanted everyone to sign annual agreements when we did it, but we were the first to say, but there's a 2-week cancellation clause. If the thing's not working, cancel it, because it was all about results. And we were also very honest with them to say, listen, because you're one of 25 advertisers, we're going to tell the people that we're selling to that you're advertising with us, and don't be surprised if you don't get a phone call from a prospect calling you saying, you're really doing this for $4,000 and it's working for you. And so we had skin in the game. I mean, we wanted it to work. We wanted to get results for people. And when you approach business, and that's why I started off by talking about 3R selling, when you approach business as we are going to help the customer get results, and not I have 25 packages that I'm going to try to go out and slam so that we can get this off of our plate, everything changes.
Exactly, and you know that's one of the real advantages of online radio is that you can show an advertiser a concrete ROI. You can show them, this is how many people clicked on your banner this month, Mr. Advertiser. So you can see that, you can show them exactly the kind of traffic that they're getting, as opposed to, you know, the old estimate that we've been using forever that, you know, says, well, we think we talked to 10,000 people last month. We think. Here's a good question. I understand the focus for selling the stream was from a share of voice perspective, but just out of curiosity, how many listener sessions per month did your stations generate? So what was your average listener? Do you remember?
You know, I don't remember. We had 4 stations, and honestly, probably 90% of the impressions that we delivered came from 2 of the stations. Although you got the same share of voice on all 4 because of the way it was. The majority, I mean, 2 of the stations were quite large, and the other 2 didn't really have much of a streaming audience. I think that when we did the math, our cost per thousand that we were effectively using, that we were selling, what was about $40 cost per thousand. So it was
substantial.
Yeah, it was substantial, but it got results. Again, I just keep going back to the fact that it got results. It really worked for people. And I think it really worked because we took so much time on thinking about the creative.
I think that's a key that a lot of places miss, and they miss it on broadcast radio too. That you know, if the spot's not good, don't expect it to work.
Well, yeah, I mean, so when a spot doesn't work on our radio signal, the first thing that every radio salesperson and sales manager says is, well, what did the commercial sound like? Or what was the reach and frequency of the schedule, right? I mean, we default to radio works. This schedule or your campaign maybe did not work. We honestly believe that, and it's true. what was happening with streaming is when it didn't get results, we said streaming doesn't work. And so we changed that conversation. We were now able to say, no, 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 streaming does work. You might not be getting results with the campaign that you're running. By the way, if I click on your banner ad that you're running, what landing page do I get taken to? You know, here you are in your commercial promoting barbecue grills, but yet when I click on the link, the associated banner ad, it takes me to, you know, lawn and garden.
Exactly.
You know, we need to get better at that stuff. And when we were only charging $50, no one wanted to put the time or energy into making sure it was a good streaming commercial. No one wanted to put the time and energy into making sure the links linked correctly. But when you start charging $1,000 or $4,000 a month, well, now you take the time to do it right, because you don't want to you certainly don't want to see I mean, if you just sold someone a $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 annual, or in a smaller market if it's a $6,000 annual, you don't want them canceling after a month. This thing isn't working.
Exactly. It's in, you know, again, it goes back to that. It's big enough that people really care about it, and so they spend the time and effort to make it work. And
exactly.
On both sides, you know, the advertiser's got enough skin in the game that they want to make sure that it works.
Right.
And the salesperson has enough commission riding on it that they want to make sure that it works, and they can't afford
Absolutely.
to get a cancellation.
Absolutely.
Makes perfect sense. Any final advice for our audience?
Well, I do think if you go and get those 10 tips, you'll see that's about as clear as I can be on the advice that I'm going to tell you. I do think streaming works. I do believe that you can get results with it. I do think that for the majority of radio stations out there, selling with a share of voice mentality is the smartest, best way to do it. Don't go out. Here's parting words. Streaming is not the solution. Streaming has never been a solution. Just like a 30-second commercial is not a solution. Just like anything, the idea that you come up with, the marketing campaign that you come up with is the solution. Streaming is one of the tools that you use to deliver the solution. And when you start thinking about it like that and you start using the resource the way it's intended to be used as a vehicle to deliver the idea or solution to the consumer, you're going to start getting results for your advertisers. So again, that's info.csscenter.com/streaming, and you know, it's all there, and go get it and use it and generate just a boatload of money, and email Michael and tell him how much money you're generating.
Awesome. Well, Matt, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to spend with us and our audience. And, you know, the contact info is up on your screen now. You can reach Matt at Matt Sunshine at csscenter.com. You can reach me at mdalfonzo at abacast.com. You know, we'll both, either one of us, be very happy to talk to you about streaming and our ideas on how to make money and get you making significant profit on your streaming. We want all of our clients to make a lot of money. That's our bottom line.
Absolutely.
And we have recorded this presentation. It will be available online on our website at www.abacast.com, and Radio Info will have it up on their website. Matt, you can probably put it up on your website as well and make it available for everyone.
Yep.
Again, that's info.csscenter.com/streaming for Matt's 10 tips on selling digital. And I really thank everyone for taking time out of your day and joining us. I hope you got something good out of this. And and by the way, if we will be at NAB Radio Show in September in Chicago. If anyone wants to sit down and talk to me, I'll be there all week. Just drop me a note and we'll set up an appointment. I'd love to spend some time with you.